Fala, Knicks Fans! Beleza? Sou Victor Hatschbach, do canal Knicks Fans Brasil, galera. Hoje, mais uma live internacional, pessoal. Mais uma live. E uma live que eu tava com muita vontade de fazer, né? Com meu amigo aqui, Noah, né? Do Clutch Ball TV. E tô trazendo ele hoje no canal e tô muito honrado. Muito legal poder, né, ter a companhia do Noah. E hoje, pessoal, nós vamos ter o nosso querido Burke, como nosso tradutor, translator, né, nessa live. Enfim, pessoal, vamos começar, né? Welcome to the channel Knicks Fans Brasil, Noah.
Thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it. I'm excited to talk about the Knicks.
Opa, então, okay. Ele falou aí que está muito feliz por ter sido convidado e vamos falar sobre os Knicks.
Opa. Inicialmente, Noah, first question, né? Inicialmente, eu gostaria, né, para os brasileiros, que você se apresentasse, né, o Noah para o Brasil e também, qualquer coisa a gente emenda, falando como que começou o seu canal, né, o Clutch Ball TV.
Initially, I would like that you present yourself for us and tell us how did your channel started?
Well, it's funny because this is actually not my first channel. I had another channel that wasn't just about basketball because my passion for YouTube started actually with my dad. He didn't have a YouTube channel, but he was actually from New York. He's a huge reason I'm a Knicks fan. He was a Knicks, Giants, Yankees fan. I always loved talking Knicks with him, Giants, Yankees. So I wanted to find a way to connect with other fans, and I thought that was the best platform to do it. And then I was like, I like basketball more than these other sports, so I'm going to take a risk, start a new channel, which was really tough, leaving like a pretty good following. And I'm just very passionate about the Knicks, and I just love hearing everyone's perspectives when it comes to the Knicks.
Então, ele falou que não é o primeiro canal dele, que ele já teve outros canais que não eram sobre basquete, mas ele sempre foi muito habituado com o YouTube, sempre gostou muito de YouTube, e ele queria, quando ele começou a acompanhar mais esportes, ele queria achar um jeito de comunicar com outros fãs, ele achou que o YouTube era a melhor plataforma para fazer isso, e como ele achou o basquete mais interessante que os outros, ele tinha uma paixão pelos Knicks e resolveu seguir esse viés.
Noah. Falando em paixão, que às vezes a gente não sabe se é paixão ou se é sofrimento, às vezes. Noah, como que começou essa sua paixão ou sofrimento, né, digamos assim, pelo New York Knicks?
So, Noah, how did your passion for the Knicks started?
Well, we can go back to my dad. So my dad was born in Manhattan, New York. I'm not a New Yorker or anything like that. I was actually born in Georgia. Like everyone from my family was born in a different like place because we moved a lot because my dad would get a new job opportunity. But when like he just turned on the Knicks, I just really got glued to the TV because he would also tell me about the 90s Knicks with Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason, Patrick Ewing, like Anthony Bonner, all those great former Knicks, of course, John Starks. And I was just so interested in the Knicks. So then my dad started buying me like history books of the New York Knicks, like during Christmas time. And you could say I'm like an NBA nerd or I'm a New York Knicks nerd. I'm just very fascinated by basketball and the New York Knicks. Like when I started watching the Knicks, it wasn't really pretty. I started watching around like before Linsanity happened. So there was tons of injuries. Some people liked Carmelo, some people didn't. This was before the success in the playoffs in 2013. But it was because of my dad just playing basketball. I played very hard when I was younger, so my dad was like, I like how you dove on the floor, reminded me of Charles Oakley because those Knicks in the 90s just played so hard. But because of my dad is a true reason like I'm a Knicks fan or how I'm a Knicks fan.
Ah, great, man.
Então, ele falou que o pai dele nasceu em Nova York, em Manhattan, só que ele não nasceu lá, ele nasceu em outro lugar, a família dele é de outro lugar também, só que o pai dele, ele trabalhava viajando, então acabou que ele se mudou muito durante a vida dele. E o pai dele torcia para os Knicks e ele sempre falava dos Knicks dos anos 90, com Starks, Ewing, e a partir disso ele começou a pegar uma paixão pelos Knicks, e o pai dele começar a comprar, tipo, souvenirs para ele dos Knicks de aniversário. E ele falou que é muito fascinado pelos Knicks e que mesmo que quando ele começou a assistir, os Knicks não estavam na melhor fase, vinham com muitas lesões, os jogadores não ficavam muito nos times. E é isso. Mas ele falou que a razão principal é o pai dele.
Ah, o Noah, até se puder comentar com ele, Burt, eu tava conversando, né, no privado, que até comentei com o Noah, né, sobre minha filha, a Isabel, my daughter. Comentei com ele que eu também, ó, tô influenciando minha filha a torcer pelo Knicks também. Acho que até ele vai se lembrar, que até mostrei um Funko, né, aqui, ó, da Isabel. Eu até lembro que eu mostrei para ele.
That's awesome. My brother actually collects those Funko Pops, but like from movies and stuff.
Oh, legal, great.
Yeah,
great.
They're cool.
Thank you, man.
So Victor said that he's making his daughter a Knicks fan too.
Yeah, my daughter. Daddy here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I pretty much had no choice because of my dad. Like my brother doesn't follow sports like as much, and if I ever have a kid one day, I'm giving them the choice to be a Knicks fan because it's tough. It's tough being a Knicks fan.
Noah, até comenta com ele, Bert, que o pessoal brinca no Brasil que eu fico influenciando a minha filha a sofrer, Noah.
People joke around here that Victor is making his daughter suffer.
Here in Brazil. Noah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Noah, vamos falar então, né? Já vamos chegar na veia, né, Noah? Se veio aqui, a gente vai falar sobre o New York Knicks, né? New York Knicks nessa temporada. New York Knicks, nós começamos com uma expectativa, ó, lá em cima, né, com o New York Knicks. Infelizmente, o New York Knicks, ó, nessa temporada. Queria que você passasse para nós qual que é a visão que você tem, né, dos erros e acertos iniciais sobre essa temporada do Knicks, né, que infelizmente não está sendo legal.
How do you evaluate the administration from the front office this season? And what do you expect about these final games and this whole season at all?
Well, obviously it's been very frustrating this offseason. I felt like Leon Rose had the approach that like we weren't bringing back superstars, but we were bringing back guys that had great chemistry with Randle. But then also we had to let a Reggie Bullock go. But we thought bringing in a Fournier, like the offense was going to be more creative and we were going to get better on that side of the ball. But I didn't think Leon Rose really thought about it when bringing in a Kemba, bringing in Evan Fournier. The offense may get better, but the defense was going to decline. I feel like Leon Rose has the right mindset of longevity-wise, of being a consistent winner, because I feel like the struggles in the past have been like, yeah, we're bringing in these good players, but we're giving up draft capital, we're giving up young players. And we went on to trade for Cam Reddish. Like, yes, we had to give up a first-round pick, but Reddish was the 10th overall pick by the Atlanta Hawks. He has a lot of talent. He was compared to Paul George coming out. I'm not saying he's going to be that guy, but obviously he's looking long-term. But Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose, it does not look like they're on the same page at all. Like, you're not going to trade a first-round pick and not play the guy. And we know there is that fear with Tom Thibodeau when you draft someone. Is he going to develop? Like, I know Tom Thibodeau's afraid of these players making rookie mistakes, but in order to get better as a basketball player, you have to play through those pains, and Thibodeau just does not do that. If it's Miles McBride, if it's Cam Reddish, even with RJ Barrett out, Cam Reddish is getting no time. So I don't like Tibbs will be gone. I'm not sure if it's going to be this season or next season, but if he's going to be gone, it's because Leon Rose and Thibodeau are not on the same page. Leon Rose has a good mindset, but I feel like Tom Thibodeau is not the right coach to execute that plan, because when you're the New York Knicks and we haven't been able to acquire superstar talent through free agency and we haven't been able to trade for those big-time stars, you got to learn how to draft and you got to learn how to just develop homegrown talent. That's the only way we're going to be able to be successful. And I feel like Tom Thibodeau is just not that guy. Like, we drafted Obi Toppin. He's barely playing. Even when Julius Randle's been really struggling this season, Tom Thibodeau's just not been great. Like, he's supposed to, like, supposedly like he holds guys accountable, but we haven't seen that this season. He like babies Randle. Just there's no identity from this basketball team. It's more than basketball. It's the overall chemistry. But the front office, I like Leon Rose, but again, I don't think Tibbs is the guy to execute his plan, at least long term.
I agree.
Então, Vitão, ele falou que está frustrado, que ele achava que traria caras que encaixariam com o Randle, até deixaram o Red Bull aqui embora, que era uma peça importante na defesa, e trouxeram o Fournier, que também seria uma peça importante no ataque. Ele acha que o Leon Rose teve um mindset certo no off-season, de trazer esses caras para melhorar o ataque e ter um time que vai vencer consistentemente, não trazer grandes estrelas e arriscar salários altíssimos. Achou muito interessante o Leon Rose trazer o Reddit. Ele acha que o Reddit pode virar a ser um jogador tipo Paul George. E ele também falou sobre o fato dessa contratação do Reddit ser um dos sinais que ele acha que o Leon Rose e o Tibbs podem não estar se dando muito bem ali. Que o Tibbs não coloca os jovens para jogar, os jovens são draftados, o Toppin mesmo, que foi draftado em uma pique altíssima e não joga. E ele falou que acha que o problema está mais em quadro mesmo do que no front office.
Noah, até para comentar, eu e o Burke estávamos até conversando isso nos bastidores, no backstage, eu e o Burke, que em relação ao Tibbs, né? O Tibbs, eu não consigo enxergar para a geração jovem, né? Grimes, Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickley, eu não consigo imaginar o Tibbs com esse time, né? Então, eu acho assim, que se a gente quer que o Knicks evolua com os talentos jovens, né? Eu acho que, Tibbs, sinceramente, minha opinião, né? Eu acho que se a gente quer construir em cima dos jovens, o Tibbs não é o cara.
So, me and Victor, we were talking before you come into the live stream, the Tibbs, that we can see our young players developing with Tibbs' coaching style, and he gotta leave if we want to build around these young players that we have.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, I really appreciate what Tibbs did last year for us, but if you look back at Minnesota, yeah, he brought the Timberwolves to the playoffs for a very long time, or like brought them to the playoffs for the first time in a very long time, but he had a fallout with the front office, and he's just very stubborn, and his lack of making adjustments. Like, I'd even bring this up. When the game was clearly over, we're up 13, there was 2 minutes left, he puts RJ Barrett like back in the game, and the game was over. He was saying we should have, we were in a position to compete and win that game. We thought we could have went on a run. Like, that's just being stupid. And he put Derrick Rose in that same situation in the playoffs in Chicago. He cares about the players, but sometimes I'm like, just what is that? Like, you can't defend some things Tom Thibodeau does, and his coaching style offensively, like, we know he tries to get the most out of these players defensively. Like, I like Fournier, but he's never been known as the greatest defender. Kemba Walker's undersized, but the offense, there's no constant movement. There's no constant, ball movement at all. And there's a big-time inconsistency when it comes to the offense, not just game by game, but quarter by quarter. Like, you'll see good ball movement, and then you'll see we just give it to Randle, like he's Carmelo Anthony, and just, isolation, just go to work. This team's just, in shambles. Like, there was an identity last year. We played hard, and it just hasn't been there this year at all.
Yes,
então,
I agree.
Ele concorda com o que a gente falou. Ele acha muito massa o que o Tibbs fez nos Knicks ano passado. Só que ele lembrou que o Tibbs também saiu dos Wolves brigado com a diretoria. E que ele tem um problema com suas convicções e ele não faz mudanças quando precisa. E exemplo disso é que ele machucou o Barrett em trash time, assim como fez com o Rose também, há uns anos atrás. Ele acha que o ataque do Tibbs é muito fraco e mesmo tentando tirar o melhor da defesa de cada jogador, não é todo jogador que vai conseguir defender. Tem uns que são ruins e pronto.
Exatamente. Até pegando o gancho, né, para falar sobre essa situação, o Tibbs, vamos pegar o exemplo de ontem, yesterday, né? My God, meu Deus, faltando 4 minutos para acabar o tempo regular, Burks de PG, meu Deus, my God, Burks, ali, cara, no final do jogo, tava falando com o Burke também aqui, 4 minutos sem pontuar, e o Tibbs não fazia nada, 4 minutos, né? E o OKC também errava, e o Knicks não aproveitava. Então, a minha opinião, o jogo de ontem a gente não ganhou no tempo normal por culpa do Tibbs.
So yesterday, Burks was playing point guard at the clutch time. That results on 4 minutes without scoring, and Tibbs wasn't doing a thing about that.
Wait, say that again about Burks.
The Burks was playing point guard at the clutch time, and he wasn't scoring for 4 minutes, and Tibbs wasn't doing anything about that. So
yeah,
that loss yesterday was on Tibbs' account.
Oh yeah, 100%. That game was just he was out coached by a young coach over there of OKC. Like I'm not discrediting OKC; they do a good job with like very young players, but it's the problem with Tibbs. He doesn't know how to make in-game adjustments. He doesn't know how to make adjustments of what's going on in the game. It just seems like he has this paper like I'm going to put this guy in this certain time in this certain time of the game. Like it just seems like when a guy's struggling, it doesn't matter to him. Like I made this example like in one of my videos, like Obi Toppin could have like 8 points in the first 2 minutes, but if he makes like an easy or just a rookie mistake or just a young player mistake, he'll just yank him out. Like he has such a short leash for like these young guys, but for like these veterans that they could still make huge mistakes. It doesn't matter to him. But I can't stand watching Burks this year. He's not been finishing at the rim. He takes the worst shots ever. Like he doesn't consistently move the ball, but obviously to give him benefit of the doubt, like Tibbs has played him out of his position. He's not a point guard at all. Like he can't read the floor, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of just seeing Burks drive to the basket and just throw up a random shot that just makes no sense. His IQ's been bad, but Tibbs he just doesn't put these guys in the position to be successful at all.
Então ele falou que acha que o OKC faz sim um trabalho legal com os jovens, mas que mesmo assim é um elenco muito mais fraco, que tem um técnico muito mais fraco. Exato. E que ele acha que faltou ontem no time fazer mudanças durante o jogo, como falta em outros jogos também. Ele falou que os caras podem, se o cara for veterano, ele pode estar jogando mal, que o Tibbs não vai tirar ele. Agora, se for um jovem, o cara pode fazer 8 pontos seguidos e se ele tiver qualquer erro besta de jovem, o Tibbs não vai tirar ele. Ele acha que a gente também não pode culpar muito o Burks, porque ele está jogando fora da posição dele.
Não,
então
lógico,
a culpa é do Tibbs.
Exatamente. Resumindo, mesmos erros, mesmos resultados. Né? Se puder
traduzir para ele. Same results.
Até aproveitando o gancho, né? Cara, vamos falar, por exemplo, dos jogadores do Knicks, né? A começar, porque, tô olhando ali a camiseta ali, a jersey do Barrett. Barrett here aqui, Vamos falar sobre o Barrett. Noah, qual que é? Aliás, primeiro, que raiva do Tibbs, hein? Contusão do tornozelo, né? Ankle, Barrett. Guilty. Tibbs again. Tá louco, cara. Tá louco. Que raiva do Tibbs. Mas, enfim. Barrett. Noah, o que você pode falar do teu pensamento? Você acredita que o RJ Barrett tem tudo para ser um All-Star? Você acredita, né, que o RJ Barrett tem o teto para chegar a ser um All-Star?
Do you believe that RJ Barrett could be an All-Star?
I think he's very capable of being an All-Star, but it comes down to Tom Thibodeau consistently putting the ball in his hands, not having him stand in the corner. I don't know what Tibbs does offensively. He just doesn't play his guys throughout his strengths. Like if someone's used to cutting to the basket, he just has them stand in the corner. We saw that with Obi his rookie year. Obi, what's his thing? Cutting, his athleticism. He's not a great three-point shooter. It makes no sense for him to be in the corner. And don't get me wrong, RJ Barrett really frustrated me at the beginning of the season. He's kind of done this his first 3 seasons in the league. He starts off very shaky at the beginning of the season, and then like the rust kind of goes away, and then he starts thriving. But yes, I do think he can be. I believe he has the talent and he has the work ethic. He works extremely hard. He's one of the youngest on this team, but he's very mature because his godfather, Steve Nash, like his father played overseas in Canada, so I believe he is surrounding himself with the right people. He has a great trainer of Drew Hanlon that works out Bradley Beal, Joel Embiid, some of the best stars. So he's going up against some of the best players in the league. And I feel like in order to be a star, you have to not be afraid. And I feel like RJ doesn't care what people think. He continues to put in the work. We saw how much his jump shots improved from his rookie year. His defense has improved, like finishing at the basket. He's a pretty good athlete, and I always thought the next step was creating off the dribble, not just being a catch-and-shoot guy where, like, your teammates set you up. And I feel like he has shown that he's capable of knocking down these fadeaway shots, these off-the-dribble shots. And, yes, it sucks Randle struggling this year, but if it wasn't for Randle struggling, I don't know if we would see RJ, like, performing off the dribble and just him getting a more open role, or just his role being expanded. So RJ Barrett, he's gotten better every single year, and I just hope he finishes the season strong when he does come back. It just sucks with that ankle injury that he might come back rusty after playing very good basketball. But he does need to get better when it comes to his efficiency. He's only shooting 41% from the field, but he's going to put in the work and continue to get better. Am I saying he's going to be like the savior of this franchise? No, but I do think he could be a glue guy that's a part of this team for a long time.
Então, ele acha que ele tem essa capacidade de ser um All-Star, mas que ele precisa que o Tibbs dê a bola na mão dele e não coloque ele parado no corner. Assim como o Obi estava, porque eles não tem por que eles estarem lá. Tanto que o Obi não é um ótimo chutador de 3. Ele falou que o RJ começou a temporada muito frustrante, né? Mas ele também falou que nas outras temporadas ele começou assim também, mas depois que ele pega o ritmo, melhora muito. Ele trabalha muito pesado para melhorar, e ele anda com as pessoas certas. Ele é mentorado pelo Nash, que é o padrinho dele, e ele, com um treinador bom e andando no meio de pessoas certas, ele tem o potencial para ser a estrela, já que ele não tem medo, ele não liga para o que os outros pensam. Ele melhorou muito a defesa no ano passado, ele acha que o ball handle dele também vem melhorando muito. Sim. E acha que os problemas do Randle, inclusive, estão ajudando nesse desenvolvimento dele, porque ele está tendo espaço para ficar com a bola.
É verdade. Noah, até queria comentar contigo aqui na live, aproveitar, que até ficou gravado assim na minha cabeça, um vídeo seu, no seu canal, que eu lembro que você falava do Barrett, que, cara, até eu tinha notado o que você falou, que na temporada passada, o Barrett, por exemplo, passa a bola, e ficava, passa a bola, e ele ficava lá, e ninguém passava a bola pro Barrett. E ficou gravado na minha cabeça o que você falou num vídeo. E realmente eu pensava a mesma coisa. O Barrett queria receber a bola, quase, por favor, passa a bola. E ninguém passava. Ele fazia quase um escândalo. E ninguém passar a bola pro Barrett, cara.
So Victor is talking about a video on your channel that you talk about a video of RJ Barrett asking the ball and his teammates not passing to him. And he was like desperate to pick the ball.
Yeah, I really never understand that. We even saw that like last year, like for whatever reason, Julius Randle just preferred passing the ball more to a Reggie Bullock than an Elfrid Payton. Like, I don't know if it's just being more comfortable with those guys, but I really don't understand it. I can't put blame on RJ for that. Like, he'll be wide open or he'll be cutting to the basket and he just doesn't end up getting the ball. But I feel like Randle doesn't do that on purpose. We saw last night, I feel like he does this to most players. It just happened to be a coincidence that he would pass the Bullock and Payton last night. We saw Julius Randle, he played well all night, but then the fourth quarter, when it mattered most, he's double-teamed. Like, and he just waits so long for the double team to come, and he can't make the simple read. Like, Grimes was open for 3. Quentin Grimes was open for 3, like, 3 times down the stretch, and he just couldn't make the simple read. I hope he doesn't have anything against RJ. I feel like RJ puts in the work and he's a professional. But I really don't even know how to answer that. There's just certain times he just doesn't pass him the ball. But I feel like he has gone better and we're starting to run the offense through RJ Barrett more because, in my opinion, we haven't seen RJ play these last few games. But before he got hurt, he's been the best player on the team.
Então, eu acho que o Randle preferia passar a bola pro Peyton e pro Red Bullock ano passado do que pro RJ. E que ele nunca entendeu isso, não dá para culpar o RJ por isso, porque ele sempre faz o papel, acaba estando livre para um chute de 3, até um chute de mid-range, e acaba sem a bola, porque não tocam para ele. Ele viu que, por exemplo, ontem, o Julius jogou bem o jogo inteiro, mas no último quarto ele cagou tudo. Por exemplo, tinha várias oportunidades que o Grimes estava aberto e o Julius Randle não tocava para ele. Ele falou que não sabe nem o que comentar sobre isso, porque tem tantas jogadas que fica tão claro para todo mundo que é para se fazer, o Randle faz lá e faz o contrário.
Exatamente. Uma coisa que eu não entendo, que o Knicks ainda não trabalhou em cima, o Randle já provou que não é clutch. Randle não é clutch. E o Tibbs insiste que o Randle lance, por exemplo, a última bola, né? Eu não consigo entender o que se passa na cabeça do Tibbs, que o Randle tem que ser o clutch. O Randle não é o clutch do Knicks, né? Então ontem, por exemplo, no tempo regular, o Knicks poderia ter ganho com a última jogada. E o Randle sempre insiste em ser ele. E nos últimos, sei lá, 20 jogos que eu vi ele tentar fazer isso, sei lá, 3 ele acerta.
So Victor said that he doesn't know why Randle is our clutch player, because he's always messing up at the end of the game.
Yeah, I don't understand either. Like, even he takes like the last shots before the half too, and it's like when the second quarter is like winding down, I'm like, oh, here we go again. Just give the ball to Julius Randle. I wonder how this is gonna go, and he ends up missing it. I understand he's the guy that's getting paid the most money, and he was good last year. But this is the problem with Tibbs. He's going so much off of last year. Like, yeah, he was great last year and all that, but what is he doing this year? Who's been our most clutch player this year? You could say there's been no consistent clutch player. Like, obviously, you would like to see RJ like take shots down the stretch, but he wasn't available. Burks, he was like our most clutch player last year, but he's been very, very frustrating. I can't even trust him. Like, Fournier, someone that I was very frustrated with at the beginning of the season, but he's starting to shoot it a lot better, and he's proven to hit some big-time shots. But the thing with Randle as well, like, down the stretch of games when he is taking these shots, they're the most unnecessary shots, like these off-balance fadeaways. Like, he could have someone very small on him, and he just settles for a jumper when he should be driving on him. And that's another frustrating thing with Randle. He just settles for way too many jumpers for someone of his size, especially when he's not knocking them down at a high clip. Like, he's not shooting well from the free throw line. He's not shooting well from the outside. I don't even think he's shooting 36%. But we see in these games when he's attacking the basket, he has constant and ones. He's drawing contact. Like, when you drive to the basket, it's going to open things up even more because the defense is going to collapse on you and you're able to kick it out. And now that you have a Grimes starting, he's really capable of shooting the ball. But I feel like a big reason why he's not a clutch player is he lets people get to him. Like, he lets the refs get to him down the stretch of games. He lets people get in his head. I feel like he does too much thinking and less doing, if that makes sense. So he just hasn't been clutch at a Knicks uniform. If it's turning the ball over, just not making the right play. Like, shooting the ball isn't always the right play. Sometimes just giving up the ball is the right play and just living with an open shot, even if it's not your shot. And I feel like Randle does not do that.
Então, ele falou que também não entende porque o Randle é nosso clutch player, que ele sempre pega os últimos chutes e faz uma besteira. Ele entende que ele é um cara que foi muito bem ano passado também, mas esse ano ele vem sendo ruim e com certeza não é um clutch player, que até ano passado o Burks era nosso melhor jogador nessa posição, né? Mas essa temporada ele também tá muito ruim, tá decepcionante. Ele também falou que o Fournier vem melhorando muito e vem tendo bolas de 3 interessantes no final do jogo. Mas ele falou de novo sobre o Randle ter chutes desnecessários, fadeaways desequilibrados, muitos jumpers para um jogador do tamanho dele. E ele fala que é muito melhor quando o Randle vai para o garrafão, que ele consegue, ele tem corpo para fazer um and-one ali, que não é o papel que ele deveria cumprir, principalmente porque ele deixa muitas pessoas entrarem na mente dele, e abala muito o psicológico dele. E ele também depois falou um pouco no final sobre o clutch player, às vezes não é nem o cara que tem que chutar por último, é o cara que tem que tomar a melhor decisão. Exato. E às vezes tocar é a melhor decisão. E parece que o Randle entende que a melhor decisão é sempre chutar.
E lembra, Burke, que o Krishna falou ontem isso, né? Ele falou assim, que o Randle é um bom jogador, só que ele toma decisões erradas, né? Ele não é um jogador que consegue tomar decisões certas, né? Ele não é ágil para tomar decisões.
Uhum.
Se puder só traduzir para ele que eu falei.
Tá bom. So Victor said that Randle is a good player, but he has a bad decision making.
Yeah, I agree. He's not like, that's where Randle, he played like a star last year, but that's what separates stars and superstars, decision making. And yeah, Randle is a talented player, but I feel like he's not being played in the right role. I don't think he is a number one option. Like if he goes somewhere else, I feel like he should be in the position that he doesn't touch the basketball as much. You utilize how strong he is. You utilize him like in the post, him moving without the ball, treating him like Carmelo Anthony and taking this many jumpers. Like that shouldn't be his game. His game should be playing hard and playing with heart, but he hasn't really done that this year. But he doesn't make those winning plays, or he doesn't have a great feel for the game. Like, for example, like I mentioned, Randle, he doesn't know how to pass out of a double team. He's not very aware of the surroundings, of who's hot in a game. While you look at Jokic, you look at LeBron, you look at Kevin Durant, they could be hot all game, but when they're double teamed or when they feel a double team coming, like they have a good feel for the game. They recognize when to kick it out. When Randle, it just takes them so long to just process information sometimes. And again, I appreciate what Randle did last year, but he's just not the smartest of player to be that top option, that first or second option, maybe like a third option in a starting lineup or a six man, but he just does not do a good job reading the floor and does not have great awareness.
Yes.
Então, Vitor, ele falou que o Randle jogou como estrela no passado, mas o decision make dele nunca foi muito dos bons. E que é isso que separa estrelas de superestrelas. Ele citou de novo essa questão do Carmelo não dá muito jumper do Randle, não ser o Carmelo para desse tanto de jumper que ele dá.
Exato.
Que ele não sabe como, por exemplo, o Randle não sabe quando tocar quando acaba o double team em cima dele. Isso. E quando ele vê outras estrelas como Jokic, Kevin Durant, ele vê que isso é um fator diferencial. Eles sabem fazer quando eles têm um double team. Ô, Vitor, rapidão, começou a chover aqui, eu vou precisar fechar as janelas aqui.
Não, tranquilo. Hey, Noah, I want opinion about Julius Randle. You a favor, né? The trade Randle. Because me too, man.
Yeah.
You talking about this? Randle trade Randle, né? All polemic. Do you can talk with for us about this?
Just talk about trading Randle.
Yes.
So Julius
your opinion about this?
Oh, okay. So obviously we didn't end up trading Julius Randle at the trade deadline. And I know a lot of Knicks fans that were very upset we didn't trade for Halliburton. I love Halliburton. I honestly think he's better than De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox may be more talented, but I think Halliburton's a more all-around player that makes the team better, just makes the winning pass. But Sabonis has been better than Randle this year. And as great as Randle was last year, Sabonis is younger. He's making less money, and he's had more good years than bad years because as much as you could defend Julius Randle, some Knicks fans, he's had more bad years than good years with the Knicks. Like the first year, we wanted him traded. Like he went from the most hated player in New York to the most loved and now hated again. But it's more than just his play. Obviously, he's not been playing good. He's very ball dominant. He's not a number one option. Kind of reminds me of, if you know Jeremy Grant in Detroit, he's a good player, but I feel like he should be in a different type of role. He went to Detroit to get more money and just like have his own team, but obviously that's different with Cade Cunningham now. But it's more than basketball. It's his not being able to control his emotions, not being a leader. We saw the clip surface of like him getting in an argument with the trainer, just doing unnecessary things. He's just, I'm sure he's a lead by example guy, but he constantly lets the refs get in his head. He constantly lets he's just, I don't want to call him a selfish player. I'm sure he cares about basketball, but sometimes like he is selfish, picking up texts for no reason. Like you got to be able to control your emotions if you want to be a number one option. And he's just simply not been playing good. Yes, he's been playing good lately. I'm not going to say he's been the huge reason we're losing, but he's putting up these great stats, but he hasn't been executing down the stretch. But his attitude ties into it, just not showing full effort on defense. Sometimes he's just walking up and down like on defense. So his attitude's just bad, and it sucks because last year he was sprinting, he was playing hard. I don't know if it's because he just like it was a contract year, so he collected his contract and he's like, I don't need to try anymore. I got my money. Like they love me here, but he quickly found out that if you're starting to act fake and you're not acting yourself, like New Yorkers or Knicks fans, they can just look, see right through you.
Então, eu peguei um pouco depois que ele tinha começado, não sei quando depois, mas quando eu cheguei...
Eu perguntei pro Noah, né, sobre o trade Randle, né, a opinião do Noah sobre o trade Randle. Ele iniciou falando que nem o Aaron Fox, né, sobre o Aaron Fox, sobre o Sabonis, né, comentou também sobre o Sabonis, e acho que daí você entrou no meio depois que ele falou do Sabonis.
Então, aí ele falou que ele já tinha falado antes que ele acha que o Randle em outro time, tendo a função que ele deve ter, pode render muito legal. Mas, por exemplo, o Jeremy Grant foi para o Pistons para ganhar mais dinheiro e para ter o seu próprio time, mas que, por exemplo, ele não é um cara que vai carregar o time para os playoffs. Nisso ele foi, agora o time já não é mais dele. Chegou o Cade Cunningham e já mudou toda essa situação. E que ele acha que é muito curioso esse fato do Randle ano passado ser o King de Nova York, o rei de Nova York, né? Isso. E esse ano ele é o mais odiado de Nova York. Ele não entende por que isso aconteceu. Porque ano passado ele estava jogando tão bem, ele estava dando sangue em quadra, esse ano ele está jogando tão mal. Ele disse que, não sei se talvez seja porque era um ano de contrato, mas que ele não sabe, que realmente está decepcionado.
E é incrível, né? Porque de Randle Lovers passou para Randle Haters. E na internet, Noah, até aproveitando esse embalo, cara, como ficou a internet a respeito de quem gosta do Randle, quem não gosta do Randle, e aquele embate, né? Randle Lovers contra Randle Haters. Man, né? Queria que você falasse, Noah, aí nos Estados Unidos, qual que é a tua visão que você teve sobre isso? Porque, cara, até a Ashley do Knicks Fans TV saiu lá do Knicks Fans TV por causa dessas confusões, né? Do New York Knicks, inclusive, né? Sobre o Julius Randle. Queria que você passasse para nós, do Brasil, a visão, né? Dos Estados Unidos e como que você viu toda essa confusão, né? Que nem eu disse, né? Randle Lovers contra Randle Haters, né?
So, how do you feel about the Knicks lovers and the Randle lovers and Randle haters fighting on the internet?
It's just drama. It's gonna happen with social media. There's gonna be people that agree and disagree. I really don't understand how you can really defend Randle. Yeah, he's been playing well lately, but he's been playing where he's had more bad games than good games. You can't even call him a great leader. I really don't understand how you could defend Randle, but that's a part of Twitter. Twitter could be very toxic. It's entertaining though. So I'm not gonna lie. I love reading Twitter and just seeing people fight over some dumb stuff on Twitter, but I really don't understand how you could defend Julius Randle. Like, even if I'm not a big Randle fan, but you can't watch him play down the stretch and see that he's just not the guy. Like, he's not built for New York. I don't think he's built for the big lights. Like, we could say that he didn't have the right pieces around him in the playoffs, but if you're a good player, you know how to make adjustments and you know how to just make adjustments of things that aren't working. And he didn't do that, but also Tibbs kept on putting him in the same role game after game. But honestly, the beef between Julius Randle haters and lovers, it's just pretty funny to me. It is.
Então, ele falou que em grande parte é muito drama, que vai ter gente concordando e vai ter gente discordando. Ele acha que também não entende como podem ofender o Randle. Ele acha que grande parte disso vem do Twitter, que ele acha que é uma rede social tóxica, e ele acha que vem a maioria dessas críticas pesadas de lá. Que ele não acha que é justo, porque o Randle não foi feito para um palco como Nova York. Ele acha que ele é um jogador bom, mas não um jogador excepcional, e ainda tem o fator do Chiefs atrapalhar um pouco o jogo dele também, colocando ele a função que não deveria ser dele.
Cara, assim, Noah, I like Randle, né? But, né? Eu gosto do Randle, mas o Randle, cara, ele não é franchise player. Não é franchise player. Yeah. Aqui, Randle não sabe lidar com as críticas, né? Com a torcida. E jogar em Nova York, né? Jogar no New York Knicks, você precisa saber lidar com a pressão. Você precisa saber lidar com a pressão. Isso me preocupa com o Randle. Eu acho, como eu falei, Randle, né? É um bom jogador. Só que me preocupa ele não saber lidar com os momentos de tensão, não saber lidar com, como eu disse, com a pressão, aquele sinal de negativo no Madison Square Garden, né? Sabe, falta técnica para ele, que ele acabou saindo do jogo, empurrou o Fournier, isolado no banco de reservas, não quis levantar o Obi Toppin, saiu, ó, tchau, Obi Toppin, fica aí no chão, tchau, Obi Toppin, sabe? Várias situações que ele fica mexendo no celular na coletiva, Randle, wait, sabe? Várias situações que me deixam chateado com o Randle, porque, poxa, era para ser o nosso maior representante do New York Knicks. Então, essas atitudes e a parte psicológica do Randle é a parte que mais, digamos assim, me decepcionou. Porque, como eu disse, eu gosto do Randle, acho um bom jogador, né? Mas, poxa, né, essa parte, se ele quer, independente do Knicks ou qualquer outro time, ele precisa trabalhar a parte psicológica, né? E, em geral, né, todas essas atitudes dele. Porque é um bom jogador, só que, cara, precisa, né? Enfim.
So, Randle is not a franchise player. He can handle criticism, and playing at the Knicks, you gotta know how to handle the pressure. He's a good player, but it worries me that he can play feeling pressure, getting texts. Didn't help, like that game that he didn't help Toppin to got up. He fought with the assistant coach, and he was using his cell phone at the interviews. And some situations like that annoy me about him, but his mind is not built for New York at all.
Yeah, I agree with you, man, 100%. Because you think of, like, these big-time New York sports icons. They have thick skin. They're mentally tough. Like Derek Jeter in baseball. You had, like, Eli Manning, who won a couple Super Bowls with the Giants. Like, they didn't care what people think at all. While Julius Randle, like, you're going to have outside criticism, like, from the media, from the fans, like, even from, like, some of your teammates. It may come up out of nowhere, or former teammates. But it just seems like, yeah, he's not built for the media. He's not built for the bright lights at all. Like, you can't let, like, stuff like that gets you, because that affects your play on the court. You start to think too much. Like, Randle's at his best when he's playing reactionary and not thinking out there on the floor, when he's playing with a lot of confidence. So I agree with you 100%. Just like, that's just inexcusable. You should not be on your phone during a press conference, like a post-game press conference, like when we're losing. Also, like, him not showing up to some, just booing the fans. Like, are you kidding me? We're not even playing good this season and you do that. Like, can you imagine if, like, we're lucky we ended up winning that game. Imagine if he was booing the fans and we lost that game. That just would have been an absolute disaster. But he just has to have thicker skin. And if he's not mentally tough now, I don't think you could be, like, I don't think over time you can get tougher mentally. Like, you could mature, but certain players are just built that way. Like, they don't care what people think. And I feel like Randle cares what people think a little too much. That's why I like RJ. Like, he doesn't care what people think at all.
Então, ele falou que os torcedores de Nova York são assim em todos os esportes, não só no basquete, que eles vão criticar mesmo e que a mídia vai criticar também. Ele falou de novo sobre o Randle não ser feito para estar nesse espaço de franchise player, não ter todo esse spotlight em cima dele, que é melhor que... O Randle joga muito melhor quando ele tá confiante, quando ele é tipo um underdog ali, né? Quando ele não tá com toda a responsabilidade nas costas dele. Ele falou como foi absurdo ele estar usando o celular nas coletivas de imprensa e que acha que o Randle liga muito para o que as outras pessoas pensam. Por isso ele gosta mais do RJ, pelo RJ não ligar tanto.
Me too. I agree about Barrett. Concordo sobre o Barrett. Só encerrando essa parte sobre o Randle, cara, a única coisa que eu digo assim, eu só espero que o Randle pelo menos consiga ajudar, né, nosso time, porque eu até ver o raciocínio agora, na off-season, né, na free agency, eu pensei que o Knicks, né, naquela oportunidade, ia trazer um jogador que fosse para ser o nosso franchise player. Como a gente tinha um cap alto, pensei, vamos trazer um All-Star para o Knicks, né? Para daí o Randle e o Barrett serem os coadjuvantes para ajudar, né, essa estrela. E não veio, sabe? Então, continuou a responsabilidade em cima do Randle. Então, acho que se o Randle não tivesse que ser o jogador número 1, se fosse o número 2 ou o número 3, o Randle poderia ter tido uma segunda temporada no mesmo nível ou até melhor do que ele teve na passada. Então, eu acho assim, pelo fato de não ter trazido, né, um jogador de alto nível para dividir essa responsabilidade com o Barrett e com o Randle, por isso, na minha opinião, o Randle realmente, porque ele não é clutch, não é franchise player. Eu acho que ele poderia ter tido uma continuidade melhor se o Knicks tivesse trazido pelo menos um jogador, one player, para dividir com o Randle e com o Barrett.
So, we're just expecting that Randle could help us out. At the free agents, Victor was expecting that the Knicks could bring some player for the franchise player position and All-Star to pair with Julius, Randle, and RJ to help the All-Star being our franchise player. And that responsibility comes to Randle without him wanting. And if he wasn't in that position, maybe he would be playing better now if he was like our second or third option.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on Julius Randle because you could say last year there was like no one was coming into expectations with Julius Randle. Like, let's start off from the beginning. We drafted Obi. We thought Randle was gone. We're like, no way this dude's gonna be back. They're exploring trade options, but no one wanted him at all. Then Randle has some insane season that we didn't expect. We were literally yelling at this dude his first year to not shoot threes. He can't shoot. He starts hitting ridiculous fadeaways, hitting ridiculous threes. He was making better passes. He was reading the game a lot better. So I feel like pressure goes into that. Like last year was the honeymoon phase. Like no one expected us to be good. It was like, oh, we're finally relevant again. And then entering this year, it's like, are the New York Knicks legit? Is the coaching legit? Is there actually an installed consistent culture here? And it's because Randle, I feel like he does have a good work ethic, but it's so hard to tell if he really cares about this team because he cared so much last year. But again, it was a contract year, and I really thought Randle was someone that was going to continue to play hard, like no matter what, like no matter how much money he got. But I feel like pressure really goes into that because everyone was calling him the king of New York. The Knicks are the true New York team, which they are. The Nets don't have real fans. But I feel like a huge thing is pressure, and Randle has shown throughout his New York Knicks career, if it's in the playoffs, if it's this season or just down the stretch of games, he hasn't been able to step up in those big-time moments. But, yeah, he's definitely not a number one option. Like I said, if he's going to be successful, I feel like it has to be in a more simplified role when he doesn't have the ball like crazy.
Então, ele falou que esse ano tem muita pressão no Randle. Ano passado não tinha toda a pressão porque ninguém tinha expectativa nele. Principalmente depois do Obi ser draftado. Primeiro, porque o Obi era um cara para a posição dele. Então a gente achava que o Randle ia embora, né? Tanto que ele foi muito criticado no primeiro ano dele jogando aqui no Knicks por não chutar tanto de 3. E ele acha que essa pressão que que a torcida dos Knicks está colocando em cima dele esse ano atrapalha bastante ele. E que é uma pena, porque ele via esse ano como um ano teste para ver se nossa cultura realmente ia ser estabelecida, né? Se a cultura do ano passado ia progredir. Ele acha que o Randle, ele acha assim que o Randle tem ética de trabalho legal, mas ele questiona isso às vezes por ele ter jogado muito melhor no ano de contrato dele e não nos outros. Ele não deve ser nossa primeira opção de fato e teria mais sucesso se tivesse outros papéis.
Concordo também. Concordo também. Não, agree. Agora vamos partir para o núcleo jovem, né? Younger players. Vamos partir para esse lado, Burke. Queria saber a visão do Noah a respeito desse núcleo jovem. Como é que ele enxerga esse núcleo jovem? Quem ele acha que tem futuro para continuar no Knicks? Quem ele vê que, na verdade, vai ser mais para cumprir papel ou, de repente, ajudar com as futuras trades, alguma coisa assim? Por exemplo, Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, né? Quentin Grimes, o Julius, né? Como o McBride prefere ser chamado, né? Entre outros. Como que ele enxerga esse núcleo jovem do New York Knicks e qual que ele enxerga, né, mais futuro nesse núcleo?
So, about our young players, how do you see them and who do you think it's going to last a long time here?
I feel like Quentin Grimes is gonna last the longest here, but like to be real, we don't know what all these young guys are if they don't play. Like we don't know what Sims is. We don't know what McBride is. Like I really liked McBride coming out of West Virginia. I really liked his defense. He plays extremely hard. We saw that in the summer league, but it's so hard. It's so hard like not to get excited when it comes to the summer league. Kevin Knox was amazing in the summer league. We saw how that turned out, but I really do like Quinn Grimes because I felt like it was a redemption pick. Obviously, we did a lot of trading down, but I'm someone that was back in the 2018 NBA draft. I didn't want Knox. I wanted Mikal Bridges. And I wanted Mikal Bridges not because he was going to be a future star, but because I knew he was going to be something and make an impact right away. He was an older player, but he was going to be impactful on defense. He was going to be a good 3D guy that's able to knock down shots because I couldn't really trust the Knicks developing. So I was like, let's just get a guy that's going to come in and not take a lot of development. And he may not have the highest of ceiling, but he can still be an impactful player. And we see Mikal Bridges. He's one of the best defensive players. He was a huge reason the Suns went on to go to the NBA Finals. Like the draft's not always about just like hitting a home run or just having this big time superstar, but it's also about getting these glue guys. Like the Grizzlies, they drafted Desmond Bane, who's just a very solid player. So when we drafted Quinn Grimes, I was happy with the pick because he knows what his role is. When you watch him out there on the floor, he doesn't try to do too much. He's not trying to perform off the dribble a lot. He knows he's a catch and shoot guy. He brings a huge spark defensively. He's probably, when I watch him out there on the floor, he probably brings the most consistent effort every single night. And he kind of has a chip on his shoulder because when he went to his first college at Kansas, like he was one of the top players out of high school. You could say wasn't playing him throughout his strengths, and then he ended up going to Houston, having a much better year. But I really do love Grimes. His confidence is amazing. He can miss a couple shots, but he's not going to fade away from the big moment. He's going to continue to shoot. He's not afraid of defending the best players out there on the floor. The game that really caught my eye was when we were playing the Mavericks, and he stripped the ball from Luka, and they were forced to take a very difficult shot. And he's a mentally tough player, and I really feel like he's built for New York. But it's so hard to really analyze these other players because we barely see them play. We can go off of the G League. We can go off of a couple games. Jericho Sims, I do like. The thing I love about Sims is there's really no pressure because he was the 58th overall pick. And most of the time when you're selected that late, like most of the time you're cut from the team. So he's already surpassed my expectations, but he's very strong. I feel like we have no one on this team that can consistently set screens. I feel like Mitch is getting a little better. Taj Gibson could set screens, but he's strong, he's physical, he's athletic. He tries very hard out there on the floor. If there's one thing he has to improve at, it's probably communicating. He's very quiet, but I do like your young guys. Not saying they're going to be some future stars, but Grimes is by far my favorite player that I think could be an impactful player if it's off the bench or as a solid starter for years to come. Because you look at Robert Covington as well. If you're familiar with him when he was on the Sixers, the Trailblazers, he's not a flashy player, but he can still impact the game and in the little ways that result like in the final score for your basketball team.
Então, Vitão, ele falou que acha que o Grimes, mas que a gente não tem como ter uma boa base sobre o que nossos jovens vão ser, já que eles não têm muito tempo para se provar em quadra. Que ele queria ver o Julius jogar mais, mas que ele gosta muito do Grimes e acha que foi uma pique muito legal na posição que ela foi feita. Ele falou que no draft que a gente pegou o Knox, ele queria o Mikal, porque ele sabia que nossa capacidade de desenvolver jogadores jovens não é muito boa, nunca foi muito boa. E o Mikal foi um cara que veio muito pronto para a NBA. E hoje em dia é um dos melhores defensores da NBA, né? Ele falou que o draft nem é sobre achar uma estrela, mas sim como achar alguém que vai fazer o seu papel ali no time. Citou o Robert Covington como um bom exemplo disso. Ele falou também sobre o Jericho, falou que gosta bastante do Jericho, que foi o estilo onde ele veio, que geralmente essas picks mais antigas, mais altas, acabam sendo dispensadas do time. O Jericho conseguiu cavar o espaço dele ali, tá desenvolvendo, mas que definitivamente o preferido dele é o Grimes.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Uma pergunta assim a respeito de Obi Toppin, né? E Emmanuel Quickley. Sobre Obi Toppin, é preocupante essa, como é que eu vou dizer? esse depósito de esperança dos torcedores do Knicks em cima do Obi Toppin por causa dessa temporada irregular do Julius Randle, você acha isso preocupante? Você acha isso bom? E a segunda pergunta, já emendando, falando sobre a dupla, se o Emmanuel Quickley, você sente que o Tibbs atrapalhou o rendimento dele para essa segunda temporada, que em vez do Quickley mostrar o que foi na temporada passada, se ele não conseguiu evoluir e não está conseguindo evoluir, né, por causa desse pensamento do Tibbs, né? Então essas duas questões, do Obi e do Emmanuel Quickley.
So do you worry about the high expectations of the Knicks fans on Obi, and do you think that Tibbs is making it hard to quickly develop him?
So I worry about the high expectations when it comes to Obi. Well, I feel like we give high expectations to every player. Like, they could be undrafted. Like, we saw what happened when Jeremy Lin, Linsanity and all that. We thought he was going to be the savior last a couple weeks. So it was an awesome story. But with Obi, he's stuck in the worst position. I honestly feel bad for him. I'm not saying he's going to be some future star. He's the face of the franchise. But it's impossible for you to develop when you're getting better as a player. You look more comfortable, and you're not getting minutes. Like, that's a bad look on Tom Thibodeau that he's not playing guys that deserve minutes. Especially when, like I said, Randle's been better these last few games, but especially when Randle's not playing great basketball and you need some type of spark and you're not consistently going to Obi. Obi barely played last night. He barely played the night before. But I feel like our team does not fit Obi at all. Like, he needs to go to a fast-paced team that likes to get out and run. Randle's starting to run more and starting to push the pace more, but we'll see if that continues. But I feel like what's really hurt Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickley is missing Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is that veteran that brings that leadership, just makes sure that the second unit's all put together. Obviously, we know he's a leader. He can hit big time shots down the stretch of games, and just in general, because I don't look at Emmanuel Quickley as a true point guard. I look at him as more of a two, because a lot of people say, oh, that's a nice pass by Quickley. He's a good point guard moving forward, but you got to be able to manage the clock. You have to know when to slow down the offense, play at the right pace, know what shots to take. And I know it's not just me. When you're watching Knicks games, you're like, why did Quickley shoot that? Like, why? That was such a bad shot. Like, as soon as he crosses half court at sometimes where it's very early in the shot clock, and he struggles to break guys down. And the Quickley we saw with the floaters last year, like, that hasn't been going in. He's inconsistent defensively. I do think he could be a solid player for us, like, off the bench. But I don't even know if it's a slump. He's just not been playing well this game. He's had, like, a nice stretch of games, but he's really been struggling. But, yeah, going back to Obi, I just feel like his confidence is starting to get shot. Like, this is the problem with Thibodeau. You could just draft these guys, but he doesn't let these young players make mistakes. You have to let them play through mistakes. Obviously, you have to learn how to hold them accountable at the same time, but everyone makes mistakes at the end of the day, but you also have to learn how to utilize them better. I feel like he's just not in the position to be successful, but obviously needs to get better at defense consistently, posting up his three-point shot, but have him constantly move without the basketball. Don't have him just stand in the corner, and you barely giving him any minutes, someone we spent the 8th overall pick on, is just not a good look. It's not a good look.
Então, ele acha que a torcida dos Knicks bota muita expectativa em qualquer jogador, né? E
Verdade.
Que o Obi tá preso em uma posição, em um papel no time muito ruim para ele, já que ele melhora e não tem minutos, ele não ganha minutos, mesmo com o Randle jogando mal. E ele também falou que o nosso time não tem a ver com o Toppin. Ele acha que talvez se o Toppin fosse para um time que tivesse um potencial maior de fast break, talvez ele desenvolvesse mais rápido e estivesse fazendo um papel mais efetivo ali. Então, sobre o Quickley, ele falou que acha que o Quickley está sentindo muita falta do Derrick Rose, que era o líder da segunda unidade, achava que ele guiava o Quickley ali pela quadra. Falou também sobre aquilo que a gente conversou ontem, sobre o Quickley ter mais características de SG do que de PG, que ele deveria pontuar mais do que armar o jogo. Acha que ele tem dificuldades no drible e algumas decisões de chute que ele atira de muito longe, às vezes, sem necessidade, com muito tempo no relógio. Mas ele acha que tem parte do Tibbs nessa culpa aí, mas que ele acha que o Quickley também não vem jogando muito bem. No final, ele voltou para o Obi e falou que acha que o Obi não está tendo um desenvolvimento de confiança legal, porque o Tibbs critica muito esses erros de jovens.
Exato, concordo. Tibbs cara, ó, Tibbs pra você, ó. Pro Tibbs merece. Tibbs deserve, ó. Tibbs, ó pra você, Tibbs. Noah, quanto ao New York Knicks, você ainda acredita em play-in ou você acredita em tanque nesse momento? Você acredita que o Knicks ainda chega nessa temporada no play-in ou você acha que acabou, it's over?
So, what do you expect about these final games of the season? Do you think we can make the play-in?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Obviously, we're very frustrated right now. I don't know if you guys have seen our schedule, though. It's brutal. And we just lost to the Thunder and we just lost to the Trailblazers, which I'm going to give credit to the Trailblazers. They won again last night. Anthony Simons has been playing good basketball. And the Thunder, I do think they have a bright future. Giddey's very good player. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander didn't even play last night, but he's a good player. Trey Man. But this is the same team. It's just so hard. It's hard to believe, but we beat the Warriors, but then we lose to these teams. Like, this team is so inconsistent. Like, we don't know how to build off momentum at all. But this is the thing with the play-in. I'm not the biggest fan of the play-in, of us going to it. Like, obviously, I'm not rooting for our team to lose, but what does the play-in do for us? Like, yes. If we go to the play-in, it's with a bunch of guys that aren't going to be here in a few years. I'm not saying the tank or anything like that, but if we're going to win, if we're going to lose, if we're going to be in the middle of the pack, I want it to be with the young guys. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not, because I don't think Tibbs will play the young guys, and I don't think he'll be fired by then. But in my opinion, I hate to be this person, but I really do think the Knicks season's over. Just, we still haven't figured out an identity. There's still, like, no communication. Like last year, Theo Pinson obviously didn't play, or Theo Pinson didn't play, but he was just constantly great positive energy. And even Jason Kidd came out and said in an interview, I don't know if you heard it, but he pretty much said he's the MVP of our team. He's always making sure that everyone's just all good in the locker room, and he's just a very positive guy. And I feel like we don't have that this year. We don't have anyone that can just raise the heads in the locker room of these young guys, or Randle when someone's playing bad. It just seemed like he made everyone even keel, not too high, not too low. I thought last year's New York Knicks team was very humble. But yeah, I honestly don't see this team making it to the playoffs. We have a brutal schedule coming up, and we haven't learned how to build off momentum at all. And we didn't make any big time moves or anything like that. Maybe Rose gives us somewhat of a spark, but if we're looking to buy out Kemba, it looks like that the Knicks kind of just gave up on the season.
Então, Vitão, ele acha que ele está muito frustrado com essas duas derrotas para Portland e OKC, mesmo dando todo o crédito para Portland, que venceu o último jogo também, que o Fernie Simmons vem jogando muito bem, e para o OKC também tem uma base legal de jovens, só que não eram jogos para a gente perder. E é difícil acreditar que a gente perde esses jogos e ganha do Warriors, por exemplo. E depois ele falou sobre o play-in. Ele falou que não acha que o play-in é um grande feito e acha que ficar indo para play-in a gente não vai desenvolver, que acha que a gente tinha que mandar esses caras embora, desenvolver nossos jovens, e que falta um cara como o Theo Pinson era no vestiário, que estava sempre colocando os caras para cima, que estava deixando o humor no vestiário muito legal, e ele não vê esse time indo para os playoffs. Não vê.
Noah, o Knicks esse ano parece aquela época de colégio onde está quase todo mundo indo para a prova final, que está todo mundo com cara de brabo, desesperado. Assim, o clima no Knicks parece que está todo mundo indo para a prova final de colégio e que ninguém está feliz.
It's like Knicks is looking like everybody's going to detention in college.
Wait, what's he saying?
Like everybody is on detention, like they're like, help me please, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, it's a disaster right now. It just looks like there's no urgency, there's no motivation right now. It just looks like they want the season to end.
Com certeza. Bert, pergunta aí, antes da gente finalizar, quero saber do Noah, o que o Noah sabe sobre o Brasil, que o Noah tem conhecimento aqui sobre o nosso país, né? De repente, citar alguma coisa, seja no esporte, na música, qualquer coisa. O que ele sabe, de repente, assim, sobre o Brasil, fora o Knicks Fans Brasil, claro.
So, what do you know about our country, Brazil? What do you
What
like?
do I know about Brazil?
Yeah.
I've had some friends from Brazil that like they would never watch basketball with me. They're really into soccer, but everything I hear that people from Brazil are very nice, and they're just very respectful over there. But I've seen like pictures of Brazil. I would definitely like to go there one day. It looks really nice.
Come to Brazil one day, man. Come to Brazil one day. See you, guys.
Yeah, we'll watch some Knicks.
Ele falou que teve amigos brasileiros já que não assistiam basquete, que eles gostavam mais de futebol mesmo, Soccer. Mas que ele ouve que as pessoas daqui do Brasil são bem legais e acolhedoras. E que ele já viu fotos e tem vontade de vir aqui um dia.
Come to Brazil, man. Come to Brazil.
Yeah.
Ó, só comenta com ele então rapidinho, acho que até falei com ele no bastidores, até para ficar registrado na live, que a gente em 2023 está tentando planejar, né, uma excursão do canal Knicks Fans Brasil para Nova York, né, e de repente se ele puder, né, de repente ver a gente em Nova York, ia ser um prazer conhecer, né, o Noah ao vivo, né, seria um prazer aqui para nós.
So, next year you're making a New York trip of the group Knicks Fans Brasil. And you are invited to join us if you want to at New York.
Okay.
Great. eu ia até falar para ele, Burke, sobre o clipe, só que eu até mostrei para ele, já até retweetou o clipe, videoclipe aqui do Wilson Ora, né? E a gente já tem uma live daqui a pouquinho. Eu queria pedir para ele, porque, cara, ele tá sendo super gente boa. Eu queria ver se ele explica para ele que no final do ano eu tô querendo pegar um corte, né, de várias lives assim no canal Knicks Fans Brasil, assim como a gente fez com o Cole, ver se ele pode, né, claro, se ele puder, falar o bordão do canal Knicks Fans Brasil para ficar registrado, a gente fazer essa montagem, né, no final do ano, que é o Fala Knick Fan, que é Speak Knick Fan, deixa bem claro para ele.
So, can you speak like the introduction phrase of the Victor's channel, Knicks Fans Brasil? Fala, Knicks Fans, beleza?
Probably not.
Like, could you say it, or if you don't, it's okay.
Can I say like and subscribe?
Yes. Yeah, Fala, Knick Fan.
Well, welcome to Knicks Fan Brazil. I really enjoy talking about the Knicks. It's a very passionate channel. Not just people from the United States like the Knicks. People from Brazil love the Knicks, or all across the world. There's a great channel they should subscribe to, and also smash the like button for more content.
Ele falou que acha que não consegue falar não, mas que pediu para todo mundo dar o like aí e que acha muito legal essa questão de ter torcedores dos Knicks no mundo inteiro, né?
Sim. Cara, para mim foi um prazer enorme, sabe, Noah, trazer, né, você até o Knicks Fans Brasil. Eu adoro o conteúdo do seu canal, acho muito legal. E olha, ainda quero, Noah, fazer uma live, eu, né, você, de repente o Burke, e, cara, o Ron, do Still Knicks Fans, cara. Eu ia adorar fazer uma live, né, with you and Ron, né, do Still Knicks Fans. Do you accept?
So it was a pleasure to bring you here, and we love your content. And he would like to make a live with you and Ron from the Knicks Fans TV.
Still Knicks Fans channel.
Yeah, of course. I've been on Still Knicks Fans before. They have a great channel over there. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really, really do appreciate it. I'm sorry it was hard to set this up with like school and work going on, but I really, really do appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to Knicks Fan Brazil for sure. Great channel. They deserve even more subscribers. You guys deserve 1 million subscribers. But yeah, we're always going to be Knicks fans, no matter what, even through all the struggles. You guys are amazing. Thank you for having me on.
Ele agradeceu aí por a gente estar recebendo ele e falou que esse canal merece muito mais inscritos, merece 1 milhão de inscritos e que é muito massa poder ter essa comunidade dos Knicks no mundo inteiro.
Prazer foi meu. Nice pleasure, man. Nice pleasure. Né? For me, né? Burke and everybody, né? Burke, yep. Thank you so much, Burke, né? Obrigado mais uma vez, Burke, por ser o nosso tradutor, translator, né, Noah? Claps, né? Claps for Burke, né? Our translator aqui nessa live. Obrigado mais uma vez, Burke. Obrigado de coração, né? Obrigado. Thank you so much, Noah. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Né? I love your job. I love your channel. Né?
Thank you. Same to you guys.
Oh, great. E espero, né, fazer mais lives com você. Só comenta com ele essa frase.
He's hoping to make more live streams with you.
Yeah, of course. We'll definitely do more in the future.
Thank you so much. Então, espero que todo mundo tenha gostado de mais essa live internacional. Espero aí que vocês tenham gostado também. E se puderem, né, deixa um like, né, comenta, compartilha e ajuda o canal do Knicks Fans Brasil. Mas também, ó, se inscrevam, né, subscribe, né, em Clutch Ball TV 2. Beleza? Obrigado, pessoal. E até a próxima, Knicks Fans.
Valeu.
Have a great one, guys.